At On a Divine Note, we explore a wide range of topics that nourish the soul and body.
From healing and wellness to relationships and spirituality, we dive into the mind, self-care, trauma, love, and so much more.
Join us as we create a space for growth, connection, and holistic well-being. Welcome to On a Divine Note.
Welcome to On a Divine Note. I'm Deshira.
Hi, and I am Bia.
And I'm Naya.
Hey.
Hey, y'all.
Welcome.
Welcome to the first episode.
Yes.
We are
Guys.
finally here, y'all.
This
Finally.
is crazy. It's been a long time coming.
It has been.
This is the second time we actually came up with this sort of idea. I believe it was the beginning of this year. We actually said that we were going to start the podcast.
Yep.
Then we put a pause on it.
Yep.
Mhm. And then Cher randomly texted me one day, like, we're doing it. I was like, let's go. Let's go.
Yes, I'm a firm believer in that anyway. Just like, don't hold off on stuff.
Yeah.
Just when it's on your mind, just do it.
Yeah,
you
just
know?
do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So today I just want to go into what On a Divine Note is, what it means to us individually.
Yes.
I'll begin. So when I hear On a Divine Note, for me in particular, it automatically brings up what is the saying?
On that note.
on
you know how
that
they
note,
say, yeah.
on that note.
Yeah.
Yep.
It automatically brings up on that note, but saying on a divine note is something deeper to me. It means like on a positive note, like I'm going to start this conversation or end this conversation on a positive note. I'm going to start or end this conversation on a note full of love, on a note full of positivity, you know? And when I think about the divine, I think about, regardless of like what your religion is or, you know, if you're spiritual, whatever, I just think the divine is God. The divine is something that is bigger than us,
Yep.
your angels, your ancestors, your spirit guides, things of that nature.
Yep.
So when I think of the divine, I automatically am thinking about love. I'm
Yes.
automatically thinking about something higher than myself. I'm
Yeah.
automatically thinking about positivity.
Yes.
So when I start or end the conversation with on a divine note and we're like switching it and we're on that note,
Yep.
that's what it means to me.
Yeah.
Right. I love,
Love
that. I love it.
that.
And even just piggybacking off of what you're saying, Deshira, just like Farjan, you said something that's higher than us and the love and positivity.
Yeah.
You think about that because everything happens in divine timing anyway, right?
Yep.
Uh-huh.
It's a divine connection. So like you're saying, all of that is connecting. You know,
Yeah.
we're
Yes.
connecting with each other is a connection. It's so much more than that. It's higher than us. So,
Yes.
like you said, it doesn't matter what your, religious background is. Divine is divine.
Mm.
Period.
Exactly.
You know? So,
Yeah, and I agree with everything that you guys just said completely. And for me, when I think of being divine or being on a divine note, I
Yeah.
think about, just being connected with the higher
Yeah.
power, and through that connection, being connected with your
Yes.
higher self, and that person to me looks like somebody who is unapologetic.
Yeah.
Yes.
They are authentic.
Yes.
They walk in power. They walk in their purpose.
Yes.
So yeah, that's what being divine means to me.
Yes.
Walking in power.
Walking in
I
power.
love that.
It's so, for me in my journey, I mean, I've always had my mom, Rabia.
Yeah.
That's
my
hi,
mom.
Mommy.
Yes.
But, I've always had my mom who is the peaceful healing lady, and she'll go into like who she is
Right.
and, all of that. And I'll go into my background and things of that nature. But I've always had the peaceful healing lady. I've
Yes.
always had, you are divine, you are beautiful, you are this, you are connected, you were from a higher being, I've always had that. But outside of the household, I
Yes.
didn't really have a lot of people who could connect with me. I always kind of felt like an outsider in a way.
Wow.
It's sort of hard for me. Well, now I found my tribe.
Very important. Tribe
But
is important.
yeah, it's just been harder to find like your tribe, people who are connected, who knows that there is something bigger than just us,
Yeah.
who
Yes.
have that divine connection.
Yeah.
So it can be lonely for people like us who have this sort of walk.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely. And I think it's so amazing that you can say that you had a mom that was saying those types of words to you and things to you. Like I didn't come from that.
Yes.
So the fact that your frequency was kind of already there
Already
at such a
there.
young age, I think is just so important. And I think a lot of parents can really take note of that and learn from that.
That's the truth. And because growing up, you know, my mom was there and she did all of those things. She always told me how beautiful I was and how I can do anything in this world. And I've always mimicked that. And with my children, you know, I've always brought out what the best in them so they can see like, wow, like mommy is doing this. But like she said, you know, and like me, I didn't have that on the outside. You know, my mom passed. I didn't have that after she died. So I kept that though. That's something that I can tell you. So that's very important. You know,
Yeah.
parenting and different things like that. Just giving your child people, just letting them know that they are everything.
Yeah.
You know, that
Yes.
you see them.
Yes, that
You know, it's
see
very
them,
important.
that you see them. I think
Yes.
all we want is to be seen.
That's it.
Like,
Yeah.
we just wanna be
Everybody.
seen. Yeah,
Everybody. And they say they don't. Oh, it don't matter. It matters.
it does.
It matters.
100%.
Yeah.
And it's crazy, you know, I mean, just when I was a younger child, I actually would see spirits and I would feel different energies. I had really strong intuition about things
Yeah.
and about people. And I feel like a lot of us have that,
Yeah.
but we don't know how to navigate
Yes,
it.
we don't know
Yep.
how to navigate it. Yeah, or we think that it's something's wrong with our mind. You know,
Yes.
we're going through
We're
like some type of mental
crazy.
breakdown. We're manic or we're
Yeah.
crazy, and that's just not the case.
It's not.
So it's so important to have somebody that can guide you
And navigate
Yeah.
that. And then
navigate
just
that.
bring out more, teach you, let you know it's okay.
Let you know
Like
it's
you're
okay.
human,
Right.
Yes.
but there is things that's higher than us.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now let's go into our relationships and
Yes.
how we came up with On a Divine Note. How do we come up with that name? I don't
Wow.
The
remember.
name, we went through variations of
Whole bunch
names
of-
with divine in it,
Yes.
positive in it, like all these things. We knew we loved divine. Divine kept coming back up.
Yep.
I can't even tell y'all how many names we went through.
Ah.
Literally, no joke, maybe like 30 to 40.
It had
And
to be.
I can't even over
Right.
exaggerating, right?
No, it was
We
a
went
lot.
through so many names, and then finally, I think I said On a Divine Note because you had said something with divine in it. And I was thinking about On a Positive. I was like, On a Divine Note. And I texted it. I looked it up first. It wasn't.
It wasn't.
It wasn't
on.
used. Yeah.
All of the names that we wanted
Yes.
were used. And we all loved it equally.
And we're just
Yep.
like, look, this is what we're gonna
like,
do.
this is what we're going to do.
Yep. I love that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's how we came up with On a
Absolutely.
Divine Note.
We did.
And just us connecting because we actually all are in my mom's peaceful healing class.
Yes.
And we're all family.
We're
So
family, first of all. Right.
So I'm mom, of
Yes.
course.
She is her mom.
Her mom, Deshira.
I am the baby cousin.
My
of
little
these
cousin.
two. Yes.
my little
baby.
cousin.
Right, the baby, literally.
Yes.
And the craziest thing is we've always had a connection.
Yep.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
when me and Naya were younger, Naya would follow me around and she wanted to be like her big cousin Shira. And we would just always give each other so much love.
Yes.
I'd include her. We do like saying lessons
Girl,
or like
everything.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
acting
Mhm.
and things of that
Yes.
nature.
Mhm.
And
Love
when
that.
we moved to we moved to California forever ago, but
Mhm.
we would visit and we would see you, but
Y'all came every summer.
we came
Yeah, we
every summer,
did.
but eventually you were out doing your own thing, so we didn't see
Yep.
each other as much.
Mhm.
Mhm.
We actually really didn't reconnect again, like
Yes.
really
That's
reconnect
true.
until Peaceful Healing.
And tell peaceful healing. Everything actually
is
started
true.
then. Peaceful healing really just bring you together.
It does.
It does. And when I sit there and I think about that, because you guys, and then y'all still wasn't even as close because it was
When I
first y'all
first
were doing
started, no.
groups.
Yeah.
Remember?
It was big groups.
And then one day I said, "Hey Naya, is it okay if we bring somebody else in?" And it was just Shira. And when I tell you they meshed, and that was it.
I
That
was
was
Look
like,
at us
of
now.
course.
We have everything together, you know?
What is peaceful healing? Show for those
Oh,
who
yeah,
don't
just,
know.
Yes.
yep. I'm sorry, because we're
We
talking
keep
about
talking about
that.
it.
So peaceful healing is it's a it's a movement.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say a class. I don't want to say it's a way of life.
Mhm.
So I do help people to go into have a positive mindset, to close the windows and the doors of the outside world, to not let the world dictate how they feel or let them or put a time frame on how they should do certain things. To love yourself, to know who you are, to dig within, to continue to just dig and dig and dig until you start healing yourself from the inside out. And you can actually heal yourself from the inside out peacefully.
Mm.
So when you
Yes.
actually closing the windows and the doors of the outside world, you're not bringing in all of this negativity and different things that's going on out there. You're actually you're in your home. This is our temple.
Yeah.
So we have to love our temple. This is our home. This is what we have to live here, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
You don't want to just keep letting anything in, as far as in food, people,
Yeah.
violence is a lot of things. So you have to start really coming home within.
Mm.
So peaceful healing, it helps you just take off of the millions of band-aids that we all have.
Mm.
I mean, we have so many band-aids from past traumas and
Yes.
all these things. Now we are going to not, I can say, always be 100% healed, because someone can pass away tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
We gotta heal from that.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't
You
even know, like, there are some things, like, you won't know until an event happens that you get triggered from.
Yep, that part.
And you're like,
That
well, why did I
Mhm.
react that way?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Like, why did I?
Literally having to take inventory of
Yes.
self. Like literally,
I
you
love that.
you don't know how far you've come
Yep.
until, like you said, something happens where you're
Mhm.
really in that dark space.
Mhm.
And then, are you going to operate in spirit or are you going to operate in flesh? And that is where the real work comes
Yes.
in, I think.
Yes.
You don't know until it happens.
You don't
Uh-huh.
know. So
Yeah.
I don't ever think anybody could be fully healed.
No,
Mm-mm.
I don't.
never.
No.
I don't.
It's gonna
No.
always be
Life is going to
something.
keep lifing.
Listen,
And
Like,
something
all
it's
the
not going to stop lifing.
And even if you think that you've healed from something from your childhood,
Mhm.
you're like, okay, I've dealt with that.
Mhm.
I
Yep.
forgave this
Mhm.
person.
Yep.
I moved on. This, and that.
Mhm.
Something can happen 20 years later, and
It can
it could
trigger.
trigger something.
Yep.
You're like, oh, did I
It
miss
triggers.
something?
Yes. I go through
Yes.
that all the time, I feel.
Yes.
Literally every time something happens, and if it takes me back to like a low vibrational space,
Mm,
I think that, like, am I missing something?
Right.
Am I not doing the work? But you are. Like,
yeah.
we're still
Takes
human.
time.
And it
We're
takes time. We're
human.
still human.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're human, and I
Yeah.
think that that's how we were really brought together. Like,
Mhm.
because with peaceful healing, it started off, like you said, with a group of us,
Mhm.
and now it's like you have a few students that are actually still kind of sticking with the one-on-one sessions and the
Yeah.
group sessions.
Mhm.
And you'll talk more about peaceful healing later, but me, Naya, and I think Anisha,
Mhm.
we're all in the living peacefully. So there's
Yes.
certain
Yes.
stages till
It is.
peaceful
Yes.
healing.
Yes.
Certain stages.
And we're living peacefully, and we actually are in a class together. We do it every Thursday.
Every Thursday.
Yes.
And we are in that class, and we talk about trauma,
Ah.
and we talk about healing. We talk
Yes.
about relationships.
Mhm.
We
Yeah.
talk about love
Mhm.
and all of that. And we're like,
Mhm.
why don't we have a podcast?
Yes.
Literally.
Yes. We say that all the time, right? Oh
Literally.
my goodness, we say it, and it's so funny.
And we've been saying it for
Yeah.
years.
for so long.
Before the podcast thing like blew up, like
Yeah.
everybody has a
We've been saying
podcast
it
now.
way
Mhm.
before.
Yeah.
Way
Before
before.
podcasting
I
was really even like
remember.
a thing. It was still probably just YouTube. And
It
like
was like YouTube.
blogging and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. We
And
said
that
we
was
need a
to do it.
podcast.
Because we had so many great conversations in class, and we would just sit there and be like, wow, the world needs to hear what we have to say.
Mhm.
And it's hard,
Yeah.
to get everybody in. You can't just talk to anybody about what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Everybody have different levels, and there's nothing wrong with
That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's okay where you are. No
Yeah.
one is better than no one. I
Yeah.
don't care who you are.
Yeah.
But it's different levels of conversation.
Yeah.
Some people conversations are a little different than ours. Our conversations, like Shira said, seeing things that's spiritual when she was younger. You know, I've witnessed it. I've been there with her the whole way through. I understand it. You know, so you got some people that speak on that part, and you got people that speak on trauma. That's all they know, so they only speak it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
You only know what you
You
know.
only know what you know.
Literally. Yeah.
So you can't judge a person on where they are. That you can't. I don't want to meet you where you are. You
Right.
know, but
Right.
I'm not going to. What I mean by that, I'm not going to say that because I don't want to meet you. I'm a
don't have to come
solution
down
based
to where
person.
you are.
So we
Yes.
should. You tell me what's going on. Now let's find a solution.
Yeah, but I do feel like sometimes we have to meet people where they are. And it's like, so not in a place of like, if they're coming off
Always a low vibrational.
angry,
Yeah.
I don't have to
That's
match
what
your
I'm talking
anger.
about.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Not saying meet you like, because we're not going to always have a person that's always positive. I mean, it's almost impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
Yeah.
we're not going to always have that, but that's what I mean. So if I'm speaking with you, and I do have to, you know, sometimes people want to be mad,
Yeah.
and I have to allow them to be mad.
And just allow them to have
Through their
that.
own
But I don't
motion.
have to sit there with them while they're being mad. I have to say, okay, well, go ahead and calm down now. Come back later.
Yeah.
You know,
And
You
come
meet-
back
meet
later.
them with love. Yeah. Yeah.
Leading with love.
Leading with love.
Yeah.
And it's like what I was saying in the car before this about choosing to operate from that higher space every single day.
Mhm.
It's a choice
It
to
is.
be divine. It's a choice to be one with self. You have
Yep.
the choice every day because
Yep.
it's so easy to fall back into
Oh yes.
just doing worldly things or being worldly. It's a
Yes.
choice. You got to wake up and choose. Say, I'm going to do my rituals. I'm going to get my mind right. I'm going to journal. You have to choose to do these things. And it is possible, but it's most definitely a choice.
It's definitely a
It's
choice.
definitely a choice.
And even going back to when you said your body is your temple, and I think you mentioned this too, but it's not only the food that you eat, you know, drinking your spring water, eating your vegetables, eating organically, things of that nature, but it also ties into like, what are you listening to?
Yes.
Who are you hanging
the thing.
around?
Yep.
What is your Instagram algorithm?
Mhm.
Am I saying the word right?
Yeah. What is your Instagram algorithm? Literally. Yes.
What is that? You know, like,
Yes.
what are you watching on YouTube? What kind of TV shows are you watching? Are you only listening to murder mystery podcasts?
Yeah.
Are you only, you know, what are you actually putting into your eyes, into your ears, into your mouth, fully like your body being your temple? And I think once you master, or, you know, you don't even have to master it, but make that effort, like you said, every day to make sure that you are taking care of your temple, everything else
Just falls in place.
falls
It
into
does.
place.
It just falls in place.
It does.
Literally.
Finances,
Yeah.
everything in your life, love,
Yeah.
everything else falls into place
Yeah.
once you take care of your temple.
Yeah.
The first
Yeah.
thing, just to, because I know, you know, you want to have people like, well, how do I do that? How do I do that? Honestly, you have to be honest with yourself. You have to be open to receive, and you have to change the mindset.
Yes.
All of those things all come together. So how can you, I'm going to go to the gym today, and then most of the time people fall off from the gym within 7 days, maybe 2 weeks, you know, really.
Yeah.
So how do you stay there? You know?
Yeah.
So then that comes with environment.
Mhm.
So you have to change your environment. Am I right or wrong?
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
You have to change your environment.
Yeah.
So all of those things so I don't want people out there thinking like, well, we got it all together. Lord, listen, when y'all hear our stories,
Listen.
we don't have it all together. We've been through some things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you say things?
Things.
Things. And it all
Yes.
ties in.
It's all tied in.
Yeah.
However, it's all about being open to receive and understanding, but you have to start to deal with self. Take off one Band-Aid at a time and heal the wound. Don't rush it, but heal it. Maybe that one wound may take a year, 2 years more, but you have to start somewhere, because if you don't, you're going to always be where you are.
Yeah. And I know it sounds It's not easy. It
No.
sounds easy, like, when we're saying it, but it
No.
It's hard.
It's
It
the
is very
hardest
hard.
thing.
I've been in peaceful healing since I was 17.
I think so.
I started
Just
peaceful
Oh my
healing.
gosh,
17.
I'm
Naya.
23 now, guys. So that was
Yeah.
6 years ago. The first
Wow.
time I did peaceful healing, and then
Yep.
I stopped, I think, when I
Yep.
was like 19 or
You
20 when I
did.
went off to college.
Yep.
And then I was lost. Like, I was so lost. I was in such a dark space, and
Mhm.
then finally got back into peaceful healing and just working on myself and
Mhm.
my spiritual journey. And now being on the other side, the light at the end of the tunnel, it took a lot. Like,
Yes.
it was far from easy, and some days it still is far from easy.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
like you said, Cher, I don't want anybody to think that you just wake up and
Mhm.
arrive here. Absolutely
Oh
not.
no.
Absolutely never.
Because
Absolutely not.
if you guys don't mind me saying, when
Yeah.
this young lady here,
Yeah, tell them.
let me tell you, when
Tell
she
them.
first came to class, I would talk, and I'm always like, "Hey, so how's everything going?" Shut down. This was her. Look at her,
Oh,
like, I don't trust her. I don't trust anybody. Like, no. And one thing that you always have to do is make a person feel comfortable.
Yeah,
And I feel like the reason why you opened up because you were comfortable.
yeah, absolutely.
And baby, once she opened up, she was writing, she was doing things. Now, Naya, if we can kind of go off and go on,
Yeah,
could you please tell them what you do? From let me tell you, she started
Mhm.
literally January of 22, I believe.
my business.
No, Peaceful Healing again, 22.
Yes,
One
yes,
on one.
yes,
Now let's talk about where Naya's at today.
yes. So I guess to go a little bit from where I came from, before peaceful healing in 2022. Like I said, I came from a very dark space, a very just lost space. So for those of you out there that are in that dark place, and I know a lot of people are, you just have to know, even though it feels like the tunnel doesn't even exist, you have to know that the other side of the tunnel with the light does exist. And all it takes is being strong enough to walk through it.
Mhm.
And that's what I did. Like, I just had to muster up the courage to say, okay, I got to walk through this.
Yeah.
And that tunnel is dark, and that tunnel is scary. That tunnel holds all of your trauma, all of your deepest, darkest secrets, all the things you don't want to tell anybody. Like,
Yep.
it holds all of that. And you walk through it, and I walked through it, and I went through piece by piece by piece by piece. And before you know it, I met Naya. Like,
I love
you know, at the end of the tunnel was Naya.
Right.
Wow.
It was me. It
Yes.
was my higher self. This
Yes.
person that I've been looking for 23 years, however many years. Like, I found her.
Mm.
And now that I've arrived there, you see like all the things that are just happening, just in my life, and all the things that I'm doing, and all the opportunities coming my way. How, if y'all would have saw me a few years ago, I would not sit here right now and be talking
No.
to a camera
Mm-mm.
and a microphone. No, I was like almost like scared of my own voice, if that makes sense. Because
Wow.
it was just so much that I had to uncover and just kind of purge out. So once I purged that out, I feel like I just started
Wow.
flying.
Wow. And
Such
I
an
know
amazing person.
Thank you.
we're gonna have a segment called Story Time later on.
Yeah.
With
So we can
with our
really go into
later.
it. Yeah.
But while we're here though,
Mhm.
I do have a question.
Mhm.
What was the moment
Mm.
that you knew that you needed to make a change?
That's a good question.
If you feel comfortable
Yes.
sharing.
I
Yes.
absolutely feel comfortable. I don't even know if it's like the specific moment, but I just remember feeling just not here.
Mm.
Like, I feel like I could barely formulate a sentence. I didn't want to get up. I was finding myself just not going into work because mentally I couldn't like deal with the world. I couldn't deal with people. And you just get to that point where it's just like, what happened? Like, how did I get here? I think that's what it was. It was, I was in such a dark place to the point where it was like, okay, I need to figure out how I got here. Almost like I woke up one day and realized where I was. And
Right.
was just like, wait, looking back, like, wait, what
Right.
happened?
Yeah.
Like, that whole time. So I think just wanting to know how I got to the dark space was my main thing. It wasn't even really like initially wanting to heal and wanting to be this spiritual person, because I was never like I always had that in me, but that was never really something on my mind.
Yeah.
So the biggest thing was just wanting to know how I got to that dark space, and then from there is when everything else just kind of
Wow.
naturally happened. If that makes sense.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then eventually in that process, obviously you had to, but did you decide, like, I'm going to change this around, or else this is
yes,
like what it's going to be, or like how did that?
exactly. Once it got to the point, once I figured out how I got to that dark space, I then had to start digging into my childhood and things that I had buried, some things that I didn't even remember, some really dark things. Having to go through that, and even thinking about those things was like, this is hard. Like, I can't even begin to unmap one of the stories from my childhood, and there's like 20,
Right.
So just sitting and just unraveling all of those things, I think once I kind of started doing that, then I got to the point where it was like, okay, I'm going to change, and that's just what it is. Because like you said, if I don't, this can go really, really bad
Yeah.
for
It
me.
could have ended up in suicide. It seems like it was a very dark
It was
place
a very
for you.
dark space. So it was like, this can go really bad. It just felt like an urgency. Like it's now or never. Because it was
Yeah.
going down a really bad road where, like, I felt like I was losing my mind.
Yeah.
Right.
I
Yeah.
really felt like I was losing my mind.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Just to know that. Can I ask a quick question?
Mm-hmm.
And I know Naya, we didn't put it all on
No,
Naya today.
it's okay. It's okay.
And no, because it's. How did you stay there? Once you started coming out of that hole, and where you are today, like you're still here.
Yeah.
You didn't go
Go
back
back.
into that hole. How did you do it?
God.
Mm.
It wasn't
I love
me.
that.
Wow.
I love
It was
that.
not this flesh
God is
at
real.
all.
So good. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow.
I would say it was God. It was the higher power for sure. Because I don't know how else.
I love that.
Wow. And
Yes.
just being obedient.
Just being
Obedient.
Yeah.
Yes.
Doing the hard things, having the hard conversations with myself, looking at myself in the mirror, saying like, because of, you know what, I will say, what it was finally, for so long, little Naya, I had such a like unhealthy relationship with her, to where it was like, you did all these things, you're such a bad person. So it was having to, once I fixed that relationship with little Naya,
Yes.
adult Naya
Was
was able to embrace her and bring her along for the journey. I think that's the biggest thing, because I think that little you can hold you back. If that little you is still toxic, if you still have a bad relationship with that little you can pull you and bring you back down.
Exactly.
But once we got that healthy relationship, I was able to hold her hand and bring her up
Yes.
with me.
Yes.
And so she's always with me.
Yes.
you
I
know?
love
love
that.
Yeah.
We actually, there is a meditation that Sri Akashna,
Yes.
Master Sri Akashna, I feel like I'm saying his
Master
name.
Shri
Akashna.
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 He has a meditation where, and I don't know if you've done it too, Naya,
I think if I know which one
believe she
you're talking
did.
about.
where he actually does a meditation where he has you like envision your younger self at a certain age,
I did.
and you sit next to your younger self on the bed, and you tell your younger self all of the things that you would have wanted to know at that age and in that moment, and then at the end of it you give your younger self a hug, and then you let go. And in that moment, I've done that, and I just, in that meditation, no matter how many times I do the meditation, I cry, I bawl every time, because it's so hard. We don't realize that a lot of our trauma and a lot of our habits and how we are today stems from childhood.
It does.
It stems from how we were treated. It stems from the things that we saw, and just everything growing up at a very, very young age. Children's minds are very, very impressionable.
Sponge.
Very impressionable. And with me being a single mom, and I have my 7-year-old boy,
Young.
7
Oh God.
7 going on 25.
Listen.
But I just make sure that I am very careful on what I say,
Mhm.
what I allow him to watch,
Mhm.
what he's allowed to listen to, how I behave, how I show him love, how I show other people love, how I show up. Even, with this podcast, he was at our photo shoots.
He's had
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
He was at
seen
our
it all.
video shoots.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
always in the process. He sees mommy grinding. He sees Nana grinding. He
Yeah.
sees his big cousin Naya grinding.
Yeah. Yes.
He
it's
just
so
sees his
important.
Yes, it's so important. And to the point where he's like, Mommy, I want to start a YouTube channel.
Mm.
Yeah, he did.
He's like, I want to start a YouTube. He's very, very he has that personality and he's only 7.
Yes.
So imagine the opposite
Yeah.
and how that can play a factor. And I love how you actually brought up in your story, you were like, well, you did this bad thing or you did this, and you were blaming all that. And not that it's no one to blame. Like, can't really blame our parents because they have their trauma as well, right?
That's the
So
thing.
things happen. And, as we go through life, we realize that, yes, there's bad.
That's how
there's
hard life
good.
is, and you're like, okay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get
I
how
get it
you
now.
can go
Yeah.
down the other route.
Yeah.
Like
It's easy
it's
to.
easy.
It's hard to.
it's harder to do it this way.
Exactly. It's
Yes.
harder to do it this way.
Yeah.
So just be like, okay, this is my life. This is what I've been through. It's
Right.
nobody's fault. This is how I'm going to move forward with it. And when I say nobody's fault, I'm not blaming myself.
So
I'm not blaming my mom. This is what it was. And or my dad. And this is how I'm going to move forward
Yes.
in my life.
exactly.
And that's true.
Exactly.
Yeah,
You
it's-
you gain empathy for that little girl.
Yeah,
you know?
you do.
Because if it wasn't you and it wasn't your story, and you heard your story
Yeah.
of a child, you would want to hug that child.
Yes.
You would have empathy for
Yeah,
that child.
you
But
would.
yet we beat that child up.
Yeah.
You know?
Like,
But
why do
it's
you.
like that person that you used to be did the things that they did because of the things that they've been through.
That they see.
Mhm.
You know?
Yeah. And that's really what
And it goes
is.
on and on.
It does.
Yeah.
The grandparents. And,
Gotta break them generational curses.
But
Yes.
that I was getting ready
Yes.
to say that. Breaking a generational curse is one of the hardest things that you can do. However, it can be done.
Yes.
And I look at that just as a young girl and just watching so many bad things happen in my life, and then watching, the fact that my mom did pass away and she left us. So I was so angry that she left us. Now, that's not her fault.
Right.
It was time to go home. But,
Right.
I was upset
Angry at
about
the
that. I was
situation.
angry. And then I look at how we were treated. And that's what made me be the person who I am today. We have a choice. So that choice, we could be just like how our parents was. My mom didn't do anything wrong. You know what I'm saying? But my dad wasn't always there, and when I got older and I started thinking about, like, wow, he been through this, he did that, or this person did this, or they did that. Like, they didn't mean to. They just all they know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, how many people back then, especially in their time, had this platform?
They didn't. And they didn't talk
They
to
don't
each
talk.
other.
What goes on in the home
Stays in the home.
That's not right.
Yes.
Yep.
And so I've always felt like, our children, number one, are our future.
Mm-hmm.
And when I sit back and I watch my grandbabies, I have 2. By the way, I'm so excited.
Yanni and a Yari.
Yeah.
I know, Yanni and
A
Ayari. And so I sit back and I look at all of the things. I remember when my daughter was a baby, young girl, and she's always wanted to sing. And I've always told her that she could do anything that she wanted to do. Anything she could do, she can put her mind to it, she can do it. And I always drilled that in her head. I always tell her, you can do anything. You are good at everything. You are good. Even if she wasn't, I'm still, you are good. But I just
You
wanted
told me
to-
when I wasn't.
Let's
Let's be real.
I was going to tell that story, so I would tell her, like, she wanted to be this singer, and I would just tell her, that baby, not right now. Not right now, because she wanted to get out there. She wanted to sing in front of a audience, and you have people, and she was hurting my poor ears at the time. I said, oh, God. I said, baby, but you're not ready yet, okay? Keep practicing. But she did it. Now, I could have said, girl, shut up. You can't sing. Get out of here. I could have said that. I was told that. I didn't
Yeah.
say that. I said, baby, so anything that was done to me, I switched it. You can do it. just practice. And when she did it and she practiced, baby, I cried like a whole baby.
Wow.
She came in that room and she hit me with the Father, can you hear me? I cried like a baby, and that's when I knew now was time. And from that moment, when we moved to California from Florida, we moved to California, this girl
Flourished.
outdid everybody.
I was like,
She was in the
is it that bad?
Chinese newspaper. Yeah, she was like,
I was like, did I sound that bad?
Right,
Why are you crying?
Right.
so happy. But parenting is
Wow.
everything. So everything that I've been through as a child, I reversed it. And I feel like that's what we all need to do. Reverse. If you didn't like when somebody was hitting you, don't hit your child. If you don't like when somebody called you ugly, don't call somebody else ugly. It's so sad.
It's sad. And I always wonder, like, what that is and why we as humans do that. I'm sure there's some science behind that because we know that it's wrong.
It's wrong.
Like, it's
Yeah.
not that we don't know
Sure.
right from wrong.
Right.
But
I think it's
but
a
it's
mental-
still done. It's like something happens to the brain
Yeah.
almost, you know?
I think it's a mental thing.
Yeah.
Like when you think about children who were abused,
And then they go on to abuse their kids.
then
Yeah,
they
and
want to
become the
be
abuser.
they want to be that person
Yeah.
in power because with me, and we'll go into my story and things of that nature in our later episodes, but
Right.
I definitely was a child who was abused by a family member, you know, along the lines before, and in that moment you feel so weak.
Yep.
You feel so weak, you feel helpless, especially if they're bigger than you.
Yep.
Yep.
And I think, well, I took the other route. I ain't like it done to me, so I'm super
do it.
protective over children.
Right.
I don't play about it. If I'm
Yes.
walking and I see a parent doing a little bit too much with their child, I will say something like I'm an advocate. But then there's also people who feel so helpless and hopeless
Yeah.
in that moment, and they feel so small that they now want to have the power to do it to somebody else.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So you'll see even you know, taking it to bullies and people in school who are bullying and things of that nature. If they're bullied at home by whoever, they'll come to school and they'll bully somebody
Yeah.
so they can feel good about themselves, so they can feel that power. And and it also just goes into repeating behavior.
It does.
Children are very impressionable.
Yes. they
So if you were abused and talked down upon and abused in general as a child, you're gonna repeat that behavior
Yeah.
unless I had my mom. You know what I mean? I had my mom, or some people, you know, don't even have that, but it could be God, it could be the divine, it could be that voice in your head. If you don't have a support system that shows you, you know, this isn't right.
It's not.
Don't do that to others. You didn't like it when it was done to you. But some people, they don't have that voice. They don't
Yeah.
have those
They
people
don't.
around them,
Yeah.
and they go on to abuse. So I think it's a mental thing.
Yeah.
It's a mental thing, and it goes so much deeper,
Yeah.
even down to sexuality, and
Yeah.
That's a lot.
that goes deeper.
Yeah.
But
Everything.
yeah. I would definitely say it is a mental thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It really is.
Yeah.
But I do want to know a little more. Like, I'm sure people out here who do not know you, Deshira, if we can all just introduce who we are and
Yes.
what we
What we
do.
do,
And I
yeah.
would love to
Yes,
start
yes,
off with
yes.
you, my dear.
I'm Deshira. You can call me Shira. I'm a singer. I act. I used to dance. I do the two-step now.
You can dance.
She be getting it.
In rehearsal.
I do. I'm a peaceful healing instructor. I am collaborating with my mom on various projects when it comes to different nonprofit organizations, things of that nature. I said it before, and I'm proud. I'm a single mom.
Yes.
Just an overall leader, companion. Yeah.
Great
I love
person,
that. Great.
kind
Yes.
hearted.
Yes.
Thank you.
Giving.
Yes.
Loving.
So many things.
You know, I have my album that I'm working on right now. I have
Yes.
one that's already out,
Yes.
and
Twilight.
Twilight's already out, working on that. It's so many things that I'm working on, so many things that I want to get into.
Yes.
But yeah, that's who I am. I'm the girl
love that.
who's just showing up for everybody else,
Yeah.
creating platforms. And this right here, doing on a divine note, I am so excited for
Yes.
story time
Yes.
Me too.
Yes.
to bring people in because
I can't wait.
I love to give people platforms to tell their story because we don't talk enough. We don't talk to each other enough.
That's
No.
the problem.
It's all these
So
surface
I love
level
that.
conversations.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
And people have a lot to talk about. People have been through some, not just the fact that it's trauma. People have been seeing stuff that's like out of this world.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Nobody talks about
that
it.
nobody wants to talk
Yeah.
about. That devil, that demon over there that they seen, that angel, that spirit. Like, we've seen a lot in
A
life.
lot of amazing things.
People
Yeah.
don't-
Like I said, when I was younger, and I know this sounds spooky. I know it's around Halloween time, but I'm
It's
not
not
trying to be spooky. But I feel like I've seen or felt different angels or God's presence at times. And I always know when like I'm getting communication from the divine because it's loud.
Yeah.
It
It's
speaks
loud in energy.
Yes.
And I'll hear this voice, and then I'll feel it in my energy like, no, don't go down that street. Don't you do that. Don't you hang out with that person. No. Or I'll hear, you better do that. If you don't do it now, it won't come around again. Kind of thing. So I've always had that. And as a child, I've, like, when there were certain people who would pass away, I've actually saw when I was younger, my school principal, he died at the time. I forget what his name was, but I remember just knowing that he had passed away, but knowing that he was in a better place, knowing he was with God, just knowing that. And I was in kindergarten at the time, so how I knew this stuff, I don't know.
Yeah.
But just kind of already knowing that, and just one day we were in the auditorium and they were announcing it to all the kids, and then all of the kids were like crying, and I'm like looking around and I'm like, well, maybe I should cry too.
Right,
Like
right.
I feel out of place. I'm so weird. Why am I not crying too? And my principal, he had on all whites. He had on all white, and he had gray hair, and he was dark skinned, beautiful, like chocolate skin. And he had all white on, and he looked at me. He said, Deshira, why are you crying? He was like, you know I'm okay. He was like, you don't have to be like everybody else. I'm okay. He said, stop crying. And ever since then, I'm like, okay, I don't have to be like everybody else.
Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
be uniquely myself.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know that I'm connected to the divine.
Yeah.
I know that God is with me. My angels are with me. My ancestors
all
are with
times.
me. I know I'm not your average girl, and I'm going to wear that.
Yes.
I'm going to be
Proud of you.
different.
Yeah.
I'm going to love myself, and I'm going
Thank
to have that
you.
connection.
Yeah. Yeah.
So don't want to be too spooky, but
Listen, spooky
get-
to others.
Can I ask a question to you? So
Yes.
you always having that, kind of connection from such a young age, would you say you were always obedient to that?
Mm,
Or when did you come, you know what I mean, to the space where it was like, okay,
I have to be
like, I have to
obedient.
be obedient.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There was a time when I was younger. We were in a daycare.
Mhm.
My mom was single mom. She was like maybe 20 or something like that. And she had to go to school and work, and she would take me and my little brother to this daycare center. At the daycare center, the mom and the sister would hit my little brother,
Mm-hmm.
and they would hit my little brother.
Mm-hmm.
And my brother Kevin was a baby.
Mm-hmm.
So they would smack him and things of that nature. And the sister would be like, shh, don't tell your mom. Don't tell anybody. Okay, remember, don't do that, because you could get into a lot of trouble. I could get into a lot of trouble. She was trying to manipulate me. So the first couple of times, and I knew it wasn't right in my heart, and God told me, and I felt it, like, this isn't right. I should tell my mom. I should
You didn't
tell my
tell.
mom. I didn't tell.
Wow.
The first couple of times it happened. It didn't go on for too
Yeah,
long,
yeah.
because I'm a Scorpio and I'm protective, and I'm
right.
like, even though she's bigger than me,
Right.
she was way bigger than me,
Right.
and I had been abused before this even happened. So I was already kind of like, I know what she's saying, But there's something within me that is saying that I need to tell my mom because this is gonna hurt my little
Yeah,
brother.
this
And
isn't
even though
right.
she's an adult and my mom told me to be obedient to adults,
Mhm.
I don't think that I'm supposed to with this adult.
Mm.
And in that moment, I had all the intuition, I had all the guidance. God was talking to me and guiding me. I went home and I told my mom.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
And when I told my mom's reaction, the tears, the anger, that's when I was like, oh,
That's why she didn't.
I can't not be obedient.
Mm.
Because if I'm not obedient, if I don't open up my mouth and say something, if I don't listen, there's so much more that could have happened to my little brother and my mom and them.
Mhm.
So I learned it at that age. That's when I knew, oh, if I see something that's not right, I'm gonna
Say
say it.
something.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
say it.
Yeah.
And
Love it.
I've since a young child and on, I've just been obedient
Yeah. Yeah. I love that.
from then.
I love that you were practicing that muscle
Mhm.
so early. It's
Yeah.
so important.
I think
So
that
important.
like when in our stories, in everyone's story, we all have those really hard lessons when we're younger.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, when we grow up
Yes.
and when we're adults,
Mhm.
I won't say it gets easier, but it should be getting easier. Like sometimes you'll have harder challenges and things
Yeah.
of that nature. But I say it should get easier because we have the tougher skin.
Yeah.
We have the experience. We know how to handle the situation.
Yeah.
Like when it's like, oh, I ain't got no money for my rent or whatever. Okay, I gotta hustle. I
Yeah.
know the things to do to get
Right.
it.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's
Right.
easier for me.
Right.
Yep. True.
So, but I feel like when we're children is when mostly all of the hardest lessons happen, and that's where we are like developed and brought into who we are as people.
Mhm.
And when I was a child and then also having my mom and having those experiences is like, okay, I need to be obedient. I'm different. The situation that happened with my little brother, the situation that happened with my principal who died,
Yeah.
all of that instilled in me and who I was. And then in your childhood, Naya, the things that happened to you told you the opposite,
Yeah.
and you had to find that on your own. So
Either
I
way
think
it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
100%.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow, y'all. Look at us. I am so excited. I was really nervous about today.
I know.
Yeah.
But we settled in and
Yeah.
we were just being us. Like we were just sitting on the couch
So
at one of our houses just talking.
Yeah.
like what we do anyway.
Yeah.
What we
Literally.
do anyway.
Literally.
Yeah.
So
I'm so excited.
what is on a divine note like look like to us? What does that look like?
I feel like far as in the podcast and like
the
just
podcast.
what
I
do we-
guess, or like living divinely or
Yeah.
living divinely.
Living the
What does that look like?
Paying attention, being obedient, being present, being there,
Yeah.
being in that moment,
Being
knowing when
self-aware.
and when not, being self-aware.
Mm.
You know, everything is connected. We all are connected in some way,
Yeah.
whether we believe it or not, whether we know it or not.
Yeah.
Everything is connected.
Everything is connected.
It really is.
Yeah. I think just everything that we've been saying, like the people we surround ourselves with,
Mm-hmm.
the things that we listen to, and just the way that we decide that we're going to show up,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
every day. And like I said, just operating from that higher space. And that
Yes.
means even when the car in front of you is cutting you off,
Uh-huh.
you know, when
Don't go crazy.
like that when that person at work.
Bia, because
I do not.
you be
No, I
beeping.
don't.
She be like, get out the way.
Ooh,
She's telling
let me
all
find
types
out.
of stories.
Oh,
she's not.
Yanni will.
No, that is not the case.
Yanni,
I'm not going to get here and go over to the road rage
No,
because I don't
they will
have
go on for days. So
that. I'm
we
not
are
going to fuss
even
with her
starting this.
because the
We're
Shiva
not
will
doing
tell
this.
you, right. She will tell you stuff that's not even there. I will tell you, I will beep a horn. Now, if I
you
just
will
tell
beep the horn?
people,
You'll beep a
I
horn.
will beep a horn.
Okay.
Because they will do some things that it's not like. That's not right. I did that with so much road rage from somebody else yesterday. Had nothing to do with me. I'm just like, wow. So I was like, I'm just gonna go ahead and do my lane.
Yeah.
You know,
Living divine.
That's real nice.
fine. But now I will beep a horn or two, but I'm not screaming and yelling. I'm like, that was the craziest thing that you could have done.
Yeah.
That was the
Like, why
craziest
would you
thing.
do that?
Like seriously, I've seen I'm like, why does that make sense to you? But
Yeah, but that's just an example, you
how it
know?
is.
Like, when a car cuts you off, when that
Yeah.
person while you're working comes in and they're not having a great day, and
Mm.
knowing not to take it personal and remembering who you are
Yep.
and not lowering your vibration
Yeah.
and going back down to that level, because like we've been saying, it's so
Yes.
easy.
It's so easy
It's
Mm.
so
to
easy.
get
It's
in that.
literally a choice. And sometimes it's a hard choice.
Mm-hmm.
When you're being disrespected or you're being yelled at or somebody's, just being nasty to you, it's hard to be like, okay, I'm going to meet them with love. Like, that's a really hard
It's hard,
choice to
right?
make. But I think
Yeah.
that's a part of living divinely. Like, you really, like you said, it's a lifestyle. You really have
is.
to take it on and bring it with you everywhere you go. Like, there's no
Yes.
exceptions.
It's
I
one of
feel.
those things. I've been dealing with this a lot, just in life, period.
Hmm.
And I kill people with kindness. And then sometimes, people will do so many things to you. They will treat you the way that they just treat you. They don't do the things, that's right, but they don't like it when it's done to them. But when you back off and you start doing the things that they do, and you not that you're doing anything smart, you're just like, let's just say maybe not answering a call or not texting back,
Yeah.
and or not showing up to certain things, and it's just you're taking you back. But people don't like that.
Yeah.
And I deal with that a lot. It's like people are so used to me being free and happy and loving and caring. But one thing I will say, I am vocal.
One thing.
Yes.
One thing I will say,
Pause.
I'm vocal. So I'm very vocal though. And I like to say things in the moment, because if you say things after the fact, it builds and builds and builds, and now it's an
Yes.
argument.
Yes, I had
So,
to learn that.
yeah, you have to say the
Say it
things in that
then.
moment.
Because y'all know.
Because then you're going to cut them later.
Explode.
Yeah.
Oh
So
my
I would prefer,
Yeah, just
so I'm
let
very
you
vocal
know.
with that. And
Mhm.
I wasn't that always like that. So I just watched that a lot with me and people and just different things like that, and how people are towards me, and I'm like, man, that's all.
remaining.
All I really want to do is just help out and be there and, love. But people just, their trauma,
Will come on to you. And
Yeah.
and how I navigate those situations, I'm all about transparency.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So if I feel a way about the way that you treat me, if I feel like you're not being honest with me, if I
Yeah.
feel like you're no longer being genuine, I am not going to sweep it under the rug.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
no.
that's the thing. You have to speak
Yeah.
about it at that moment.
Yeah.
Even if it's not in the moment, I'll know when I can talk about it in the moment, and
Yeah,
I
'cause
know when I
sometimes-
When you
can't
can't. Yeah.
talk about it in a moment.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm in a place where I'm like, okay, here, let's go to the side and let's talk about this situation,
Right.
because it can't wait, because we have an event and we need to be this for the event.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Let's step aside for a second. Did you mean to say it that way? This is how I took what you said.
Mhm.
This is what I assumed, and this is how it made me feel. How can we move forward and navigate the rest of this marketing event together?
Right. Yes.
Or if it's a situation that's deeper, you're a close friend of mine, I feel like you've been, just not being whatever, right? I will have that conversation with you. I will say, hey, I feel a way about this. Let's have a conversation. And when we have that conversation, we can go to lunch, we can do whatever. We can have a
Mhm.
video FaceTime
So that way
call,
you can
Yeah.
talk.
and we can have that conversation genuinely. And I'm always going to lead with love, but there are also times where you need to be stern.
Mhm.
Yep.
Because certain
They don't
people
understand it.
will walk all over you.
They will.
They will, and they'll take advantage of that, and they can also take your kindness for weakness.
Absolutely.
So being stern, but also leading with love, you don't have to be aggressive.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
you don't have to be
Yeah.
aggressive.
You don't have to be aggressive.
And you don't have to be a pushover either.
Yeah, and that's
So you're right. There's a fine
Yeah.
line.
There's a fine line.
it's
fine
then
line.
very, very fine now.
Yeah, we're not
But-
saying let
yeah.
people talk to you any type of way and
Yeah.
be super nice to them. No, but
But
you
you do
still
have to say your-
lead with love, and you have to say how
You
you
have to
feel.
say how you feel. And like I
Yeah.
say, I'm not saying in that moment, don't you that? No, I'm just saying sometimes you don't want it to go. It don't have to be in that specific split moment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about don't let it go a week to 2 weeks to a year.
Mm-hmm.
That's the build up. I'm talking about let it be
Let it
and
go.
just kind
Yeah.
of watchful and watch, and then you speak on it.
Yeah, because
So
man,
I don't
otherwise
want anybody
everything
to
start irritating.
Yeah,
you.
everything start
Everything
irritating that they do. You're like, oh my God, they
You're like,
so
the way
I
they breathe.
I'd rather
Like, stop.
The way
breathing
you're
around me.
walking.
right. Oh, why she walking like that?
Like,
Why are you walking like
walk
that?
like that? Like, no.
She's so mad. So no, this is good, guys.
This
I know
is
we're gonna have to
good.
wrap
Great.
this up.
Yeah.
Wrapping up, living
But,
divinely. Did we already go? Living divinely. You said it. So we ultimately said leading with love.
Leading
Leading
with
with love.
love.
Mm-hmm.
You know, choosing to
Choosing you.
operate from the
Too.
higher space.
Mm-hmm.
Choosing you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Find your tribe.
Mm-hmm.
It's very important to find your tribe. Be very watchful.
Yes.
Watchful. Please, guys, keep your
So
eyes and your
important.
ears open. Listen to everything.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because
Not
people are
everybody's for you.
showing you
Mhm.
who they are.
Mhm.
And I said all the time in the beginning, but you're not paying attention because we think as people we can change you.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
So,
On a divine note.
on a divine
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.
See y'all.
So much for tuning in to today's episode. Remember to subscribe, like, and share, and follow us on all social media platforms.